What's up, fight fam? What's going on out there, man? It is the homie, Mainman Mademan in the building. Y'all know how I get down. We talking boxing, man. You know what I'm saying? Once again, it is an honor and a pleasure. Once again, it is an honor and a pleasure to be on here with all of the boxing fam and the boxing fans, you know? So I just thought I'd slide through for a quick discussion. I hope the audio is clear. If it's not, please, anyone in the chat can let me know. I was going to do this as a vid, but I figured, I didn't want to really be too scripted for this one. And besides, I have significant time restraints on me right now. So, I thought the better way to do this would be to do it this way. I just hope that the audio is clear and I can get this through because I would love to have this on the channel. Now, I want to say for this particular video, I want to pick up where I left off when I was doing the video pertaining to horsehair gloves. Now, for those who don't know, I don't know, about a month or two ago when that Tyson Fury talk about gloves and everything was raging high, I did a video in the midst of all of that chaos about horsehair gloves and their needs to be banned. And so, I took a deeper look into horsehair gloves and seeing how they were made and, and what effects that they have and, whether positive or negative on a fighter. And I reached the conclusion that I think that those gloves should be banned, mainly due to the, what they do health wise to the fighter. You know what I'm saying? That's how I believe. What's up, Bruce? What's up, family? What's going on? Hey, yo, Bruce, hopefully my audio out there is clear, man, because I don't want to start this video. And once I get underway, I'm going to take off and run it. So hopefully if it's clear, and if it's not, bro, just let me know. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to go ahead and move forward, though, bro. The thing is that, yeah, like I said, man, this thing is big for me. So I'm very curious about health in the boxing world. I'm gonna take a minute to get away from the headlines, let everyone else do the Teofimo Lopez thing and the Tyson Fury thing right now. I'll get back to that in a minute. But I want to talk about this. So I want to break this down. I'm asking the question of whether boxing promotes health. I mean, real, genuine health. We are in a day and age where we can put a man on the moon. Boxing has went through all of these changes over the last few decades. We in a technological advanced era. And yet we still have fighters dying in the ring. We still have fighters having brain injuries, hand injuries, and so on and so forth. Some may argue and say, well, man, I think it's decreased some since back in the day. I beg to differ. I'd say ask a fighter what they go through after they're done fighting in these days and times. And you'll see that it ain't far off. Real spill. So we're going to break this down into certain categories. And certain things were changed over time. And certain things, and I'm wondering where these things changed to benefit the health of the fighter or to fatten the pockets of the boxing aficionados. Let's break this down. You know what I'm saying? Say, I'm clear. Thanks, Bruce. I appreciate that, famo. Appreciate you, man. So let's break this down. Let's talk about boxing rounds first. Boxing rounds, we all know since the early days, since the days of John L. Sullivan, it started out unlimited. Then he started it over time due to health concerns. Allegedly, it went down. You go down to 20. You went down to 15, and we're going to stop right there. In the 80s, 15 rounds. There was a particular fight that marked supposedly the end of the 15-round era. And we all know, for the diehards in here, what that fight was. And that was Ray Boom Boom Mancini versus Duke Koo Kim, in which Duke Koo Kim died 4 days after he fought Ray Boom Boom Mancini. Ray Boom Boom Mancini stopped Duke Koo Kim in the 14th round. In the 14th round, going into that fight, both of them knew that there was going to be an epic war. They knew stylistically exactly how each other fought and exactly how each other was trained. Neither man was trained to go backwards. Neither man. And so this is the fight that when Dooku Kim passed away 4 days later. This led to a series of tragic events. Dooku Kim's mother, a week later, committed suicide. It said that the referee that was involved in that fight 7 months later, he committed suicide. Now, I don't want to tie it directly to the Ray Mancini situation, but I'm just saying 7 months. It caused a whole bad trigger of events. And most importantly, it caused a bad trigger of events for the network that showed that fight. And that network was CBS. CBS was getting ripped to shreds of putting on a long 15 rounder in an uneven match. That was the talk that came out from that. And they were laying the responsibility of that death at the foot of CBS. So CBS is like, oh, hold on now. You had countries after that fight, European countries banning boxing. You got all of these, you even have entities here in America at that time speaking on kicking boxing off the airways, getting rid of boxing. It's too brutal. Changes have to be made. And so some of the changes, just to make a long story short, some of the changes that came out from that was what? You got 15 rounds to go down to 12 rounds. You got a standing 8 count. And you got 1 minute between each round. At least that rule came out at that time for each fighter. They get a minute between each rounds. And at the time, it started being screamed from a lot of fighters like, hold on, we're not into this. You know, a fighter is a fighter. They want to fight. This is why I always tell people. A lot of times with these negotiations, it's these suits, man. It's the suits. The fighters want to fight. So back then you had fighters kicking up in the uproar. Even Ray Boom Boom Mancini himself, the man who was not the same even after that fight. He went on, he was never the same psychologically. He felt terrible for what he did. Terrible. It ate him up bad. But even Ray Boom Boom Mancini did not want it to go from 15 to 12 rounds. You had Larry Holmes, who was the WBC champion at the time. He did not want it to go from 15 to 12 rounds. According to Larry Holmes, and I quote, it will cut down on injuries for a lot of fighters, but it will take away from the true champions. A true champion can go 15 rounds, end quote. When we hear the term championship rounds, it wasn't based on 12-round fights. It was based on championship rounds went down to as much as 15 rounds. I'm sorry. Those were the championship rounds. So then, you know, the conspiracy theories and people who just started to huddle up amongst themselves, and a lot of boxing people, even Ray Boom Boom Mancini himself, they said, well, man, we ain't stupid. The real reason that you are going from 12 to 15, from 15 to 12 rounds is because of the networks. And these 15-round fights are going too long. So people started doing math, and the conspiracy theories started huddling up, started doing math. They started saying, you know what? If you think of it, it looks like this. You get 3-minute, 12 rounds, right? That's what, 12, 24, that's 36 minutes. You get 1 minute between each round. Well, that's 12 more minutes. So that's 48 minutes. Then you include the outro and the intro, and you know, the judges saying their scorecards, and that should take up about an hour. And that's perfect for time slots on regular TV. So was this about safety, or was this about money and politics? Let's keep on going. Now, remember, the WBC was the one that kicked this off. They were the ones that came out and said, you know what? We are going to lead the charge here, and we're going to institute these changes. It said that the WBC allegedly, immediately, because this happened in '82. So immediately after that, the WBC instituted their changes. However, the other sanctioning bodies didn't. Remember, this went down in 1982, fight fans. 1982. It said that the WBA and the WBO, which was at the time when this was all was going on, the WBO wasn't quite formed yet. So they didn't really know exactly which direction they were going. But the WBA, well, guess what? They eventually changed their rules. But that didn't come around to 1987, 5 years later. So the WBC stopped 15 round fights, but the WBA, the IBF, and the WBO, well, they were sitting back like, hold up. Because you taking away 15 rounders, that kind of hurts our chances of having knockouts. This is not good for us on that aspect. We want knockouts because knockouts move the sport. Something is said that the WBC also took that position as well in the early days. We want to keep knockouts going. So it said that the WBA said at the time that they didn't see any medical evidence past to them that 15 rounders are harming boxers more than normal. It says that then the IBF, which had also recently broken away from the WBA, maintained the standard 15 round clashes as they claimed that there was no documented medical evidence that the extra 9 minutes were more dangerous. But however, in 1988, the IBF, they ultimately changed their stance, though reducing their governed fights to 12 rounds. So it took the IBF, which was last to get on board, all the way up into 1988. So we talking safety here, fight fans. Safety, right? Safety. But yet you got one sanctioning body who did it, allegedly ended it in 82. But you got the rest of them, and the final one didn't end it to 88. And here's the kicker. The WBC is full of crap because they actually sanctioned the fight between Mike Tyson and Terrell Biggs, which went down in 1987, which was a 15-round fight. Now, it said the only reason that they did that is because the IBF title was involved and the WBC had to follow suit, given that the IBF had yet to change their rules. But at the end of the day, they still was on board. Why didn't they pull their belt? You feel me? Is this about health or is this about politics and money? Because if it was about health, they all would have been on the same game plan. It all would have been on the same game plan. Was this move done to slide into these TV slots, as a lot of conspiracists believe? Conspiracy theories. And also they believe that by them changing it down to 12 rounds, well, guess what? You get draws, and which will enable rematches, which enable more money. So which side do you fall on? Was the 15 to 12 round move done because of all of the injuries and because of fighters like Dooku Kim, who passed away after the Mancini fight? Was it done for people like that? Or was this done in response to the outcry that was going on around the world? Or was this done to make sure that they fit into the perfect TV slots on networks? Because when CBS got put underwater with this, well, NBC was right there to pick up the pieces. And they had 1 hour time slots. So what was this really about, fight fans? What was this really about? Did the fighters have a point when they said this has nothing to do with health? Did Larry Holmes have a point? Did Ray Boom Boom Mancini, amongst others, because I can pull out a billion quotes, were they right? Because the fighters didn't even want to go from 15 to 12 rounds. Were they right? Who's right and who's wrong? Is this health or is this profit? Which one is it? We got to move on. We got to move on. Let me make sure I covered everything about the rounds. Also, it said that the last fight that the IBF sanctioned as a 15-round fight was a minimum weight fight between two Thailand fighters, and that happened in 1988. By 1988, all major world title fights have been decreased from the long-standing and standard 15 to 12 rounds by 1988. So by 1988, all the sanctioning bodies were on board, but this got started in 1982. Facts. So let me make sure I got that. Now I'm just gonna say this before I leave the round section alone. I'm glad they made the move for whatever the reason, whether it's for profit or whether it was for health. I think it was the right move to make. Less rounds means less punches. I don't care what no one says. Less rounds means less punches. We see fighters getting knocked out in a lot of cases under 12 rounds, under 15 rounds anyway. I don't think you need 15 rounds to get your point across, or to tell, or to show everyone what kind of fighter you are. I don't think you need 15 rounds. So I think it was the right move. Now, whether it was for profit or whether it was for health concerns, I think there was a little bit of both involved in this decision. So we're going to move along. The next thing, boxing gloves. Let's talk boxing gloves. Now, before I do, hold on, let me make sure here. 1 second. I see we got some comments rolling in. Let me kind of click on some of these. Salute to all of the fam that slide through, and please believe I'm not overlooking no one. I'm just kind of deep into this one, man. What's up, L Dude? He says, yo, boom, boom. Visited the family and met the son face to face and apologized. Yeah, I seen that, man. And that was deep, bro. Yeah, that was deep. From what I understand, he even went and lived with them for a while. You know what I mean? So he was real regretful after that, man. It really was, man. He says that his son did not blame Boom Boom. Well, that's good. That's what's up. I didn't look that far, but that's good, bro. That's what's up. I mean, things like this happen in the ring. That man ain't wake up that day, with that kind of malice in his heart. I don't think to go out there and do that. It's a sport. And unfortunately, just like Max Kellerman once said, bro, things like this unfortunately happens. But I still love the sport of boxing. You know what I'm saying? It just comes with the sport. It's like peanut butter and jelly. You know what I mean? But I'm glad that they worked it out. You know what I'm saying? I'm really glad that they worked it out. It says Chavez. What you say? You say Chavez. Hold on. I'm trying to get it here. Give me 1 minute. I think we froze up for a minute. All right, there we go. There we go. Sorry, fam. All right. It says Gabriel Rosales also killed a man in the ring. Okay, yeah, there's been several people, Dadashev and a lot of other fighters, man, that's passed away in the ring. And that's what I mean, bro. Like, how is people still dying if we supposedly going through all of these technical advances, changes, and all of these boxing gloves, all of these different things? So, yeah, man, I mean, I just don't understand it. You know what I mean? Like, there should be better changes. That's why I'm asking the question of whether or not this is health or whether or not this is wealth. So, man, sad that these things are still going on, bro. Sad that these things is going on. So let's talk about boxing gloves real quick. Now, boxing gloves. The question is the same here. The changes in boxing gloves, were these changes based on health or based on profit? Let's get into this. Now, in the early days, I'm talking when they started to adopt boxing gloves. In the early days, there were none. But once boxing gloves started to really come into play in heavy rotation, you move along to the modern era, we were working with, up until the welterweight division, 6-ounce gloves. Anything what was welterweight and above, I believe it was, that was 8-ounce gloves, right? And then that system kind of moved to the system that we are in today, where instead of it was 6 and 8, we're now working with 8 and 10. So normally up until beyond welterweight, these guys are working with 8-ounce gloves, and then they're moving up to 10 once you get a little heavier in weight. So these changes were instituted over time. Some would say, well, that is a smart change. Now, the reason it said at the time that they increased the sizes of these gloves is because when horsehair gloves came on board, it was known immediately how these gloves break down during the fight. If you are wearing horsehair gloves in either 6 to 8 ounces, and when they're breaking down during the fight, the same thing that I accused Tyson Fury's gloves of doing, of breaking down during the fight. Well, 6 and 8 ounce gloves, that's bare knuckle, champ. Bare knuckle. Now, it's well known. I challenge everyone to go and watch my video I did on this. It's well known that horsehair gloves are bad news for boxing. They call them puncher's gloves. You got them in many different forms, many different brands, from Everlast to Clayton Reyes to you name it, to the new ones that's coming out. Instead of over time banning horsehair gloves, they kept horsehair gloves in boxing. Sure, some states don't allow them, but for the most part, they're widely used in boxing. The difference over time that's changed from then and now, other than the size, is they require them to put a thin layer of foam around the horsehair today as opposed to yesteryear. That's really just the main difference. And on top of that, they incorporated the foam glove, which is, better suited, better built. It doesn't break down during a fight. You can't break it down. These gloves are in rotation as well. And those are the gloves that I will prefer to see fighters with. Right? So the question that I have then. Now first off, let's just do the pros and cons between the big and small gloves. Now, to the untrained eye and to the untrained ear, most people will say, Mainman, smaller gloves are not the way to go. The hands are less protected. You get more brain injuries. That would make sense to the untrained eye and the untrained ear. But then you ask yourself this. If a fighter has smaller gloves, will he be more inclined to go to the head or to the body? Riddle me that. If I got on bigger gloves, where if I'm hitting you in your hard skull, well, I can hit you a lot more in the skull with bigger gloves than I can with smaller gloves. Right? So it's said by people, the skeptics over time, that the reason that the glove sizes increased were for the same thing for the networks, like we said with the rounds. They were having a problem with guys like Mike Tyson and a bunch of other fighters who were getting too fast of knockouts. The fights had to be prolonged just a little bit because you don't want to fight to get in there that you've been hyping up to go 2 rounds, and then you got 45 minutes of programming that you got to put filler content in there. So you need this fight to drag on a little bit before he stops. So the skeptics believe that these bigger gloves were instituted not for protection of fighters, but to prolong the fights just long enough to fulfill those hour slots. That's what I'm saying. My thing is, why is horsehair still around? If you were truly concerned about the health of the fighter, why do they still, when you got a glove that's known to break down and your knuckles start breaking through as the fight progresses, why hasn't there been institutes or changes to hand wraps? The materials that the hand wraps are made of today are not what they were made of yesteryear. Why are these materials breaking down so easy? Look at Antonio Margarito. Look what he tried to do. I'm just saying, if they were truly interested in health, there would be no horsehair gloves, fight fans. There won't be no, let's just put some foam on them. Because those gloves are giving people power that they may not have. I'll tell you the reason why these type of gloves can't get banned. Because of profit. We living in a day and time where you got Paffin Sports, where you got MX gloves, Everlast, you got all of these dudes, all of these brands. They are now sending checks to fighters. They are sponsoring fighters. They are now getting next to sanctioning bodies, where they're cutting sanctioning bodies, the WBC, amongst others, checks to say, keep our glove in your fights. That's why. Whenever you start seeing entities talking about, we just caught word when everyone was seeing Tyson Fury's glove, they started doing their homework, right? And what people start digging up, Paffin Sports has some sort of agreement with the WBC. I can't believe it. That's exactly how this game is played. And we wonder why certain things ain't changed. You know what I'm saying? So we wonder why certain things ain't changed. Money being traded, money being exchanged. What do y'all expect? It's like lobbyists in Congress. They up there on Congress for a reason. They're giving them checks for a reason. These boxing glove companies, it's more than just a sponsorship and to have our name attached to the shorts or to the gloves and everyone in the whole world can see. That was the trick that Clayton Reyes used with Muhammad Ali back in the day. That's how his gloves got so out there. Muhammad Ali and Leon Spinks Free promo. Yeah, that's a good thing. But now it's more than that. It's not just a promo thing. It's we in good with you, champ. Hey, we got a special made glove for you, Tyson. We got a special made glove for you, Floyd. They are in there and they cutting checks too. So ain't too much gonna be changing in the boxing glove realm. I don't think so. So is this for health or is this for profit? Riddle me that, fight fans. Riddle me that. Let me make sure we good with the gloves. Now, that's the question that we all got to ask ourselves as boxing fans. With these, if we was to change from horsehair gloves to go foam or whatever, latex, whatever, if we was to go from that, we will have a reduction in knockouts. Is that good for boxing? So the question, I guess, as boxing fans, we even got to ask, do we want knockouts or do we want health? Now, us as boxing fans, we cavemen up out this joint. We banging the tables. We want knockouts. They getting paid millions of dollars, man. I'm sorry, bro. We want knockouts. They got to put them horsehair gloves on. But then don't complain about brain injuries, about deaths that comes with the sport. I just want us to be all in perspective about what's actually going on. If we are okay with horsehair gloves and all of this pretend power that it gives to all of these fighters, if we okay with that, let's just be okay what comes with that. So is this the reason that boxing never got rid of the horsehair gloves? Terrible for knockouts. If you take away the horsehair gloves, you're taking away knockouts. I don't care about the hand injuries. I don't care about the brain injuries. We care about the knockouts. And here's another question when y'all talk about bigger gloves today. Like I told you before, you prefer to go to the head with bigger gloves because your hands are protected from the skull. But here's also a question. Does a person suffer a worse beating from smaller gloves than they do from bigger gloves? A bigger glove, you'll get a prolonged beating. Smaller gloves, it can be one shot, good night. Ray Mancini's defense, one of his main defenses against 15 rounds was he doesn't believe that an accumulation of punches are the things that killed his opponent. He believed that it was from one punch. His opponent, Mr. Kim, unfortunately, he developed a blood clot in his brain. They couldn't wake him up. Stuck in a coma. Ray Boom Boom Mancini says that was from one shot, not an accumulation of punches because I took him to the 15th round. That one shot could have came in the second round. That one shot could have came in the fourth or the fifth round. So if that is the case, what Ray is saying, if it's a one shot thing that did it, what is worse? I mean, either way you look at it, which one is worse? Which one y'all decide? What y'all decide, fam? Bigger gloves, smaller gloves. We just laid out a good case right there. Now let me know. Let me see some of the comments, man. Let's see. Yeah, man. L Dude says, yo, man, powerful people hungry for money will always take advantage of desperate people seeking money all day. That is facts. That is facts. Bruce is okay. I'll let y'all chop it up. Yo, what's up, Zeno? What's up, fam? What's up with you, homie? What's going on, man? Just dropping some actual factuals. You already know, man. Just want to take a break from the headlines for a minute, man. I personally like the horsehair glove, says Zeno. Yeah, it provides for knockouts, but we got to ask our questions. I mean, fighters like Tyson Fury, we wonder where the knockout power was coming from. Look at the gloves. I'm not saying as far as the illegal aspect of it. I'm just saying, look, man, when people were running around with the pictures and stuff like, oh, look at that, you can see the knuckles, you can see, I wasn't shocked or surprised by it. And I'm saying I don't see nothing wrong there. You know why? Because boxing allows those gloves. They've been allowing those gloves. Let's not look at Tyson Fury's steel shots and say not look at everyone else's, because I can give you a million of them. It's the gloves, man. Those are bad gloves. And it gives that mysterious power. Sure, they can hurt their hands more, but I don't know, man. I don't know. So the question I got to ask fans, bigger gloves or smaller gloves? That's the golden question. bigger gloves or smaller gloves. I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna say, from my opinion, I believe that we need to ban horsehair gloves. I believe in more of a protective glove. I'll rock with the bigger gloves. I'll rather deal with the argument of prolonged beatings over the one shot, because yeah, you may can do prolonged beatings. People could take more blows to the head with bigger gloves. I will concur that, but it would take a lot of shots, and it would take a lot of big shots with bigger gloves to probably do that one shot that them smaller gloves would do. Not to mention, you do protect the hands, and you need bigger gloves. They do provide for better defense. So some of this has to be on the fighter. Your defense just got to be in check. Some of this has to be on the fighter. So I'd say, yeah, keep the bigger gloves. But is it for health or is it for profit? Let's get to the last one. And this is everyone's favorite. PEDs and all the changes that has come over the years involving PEDs. Now, this one should be fast and easy. I don't even need notes for this one. PED testing. Well, we are in a time of day where these PEDs, through technology, they change like the weather. You know what I mean? Every other day, there's a new one to watch out for. The list got to keep constantly evolving. These drug testing agencies are hard pressed to keep up. You know what I'm saying? And it is what it is. That's just the day and age we live in. A lot of athletes are going to try to find that extra edge. Look at Jarrell Big Baby Miller. Some people just don't quit. Look at Big Rock Steady and Bebop Jarrell Miller. You know what I'm saying? Enough is just not enough. But that's just the day we live in boxing. And this has been going on for decades in boxing. I'm not stupid. This ain't new. The only thing that's better today is probably testing protocols. That's about it. What I mean, or the type of test that they are given. That's the only probably bigger thing. So more things can be found. But drug taking in boxing is still at an all-time high. So today, during the pandemic, we're in the middle of a time where the WBC has announced that they are doing a reduction in testing. Now, I've already done my investigations into the WBC Clean Boxer program. I've already done my investigations into the WBA Fair Boxing program, and I have concluded they are both jokes. Jokes. Salute to blood boxing, to the OG. That's who sent me down this path. And I found that they are both jokes. Nothing short of the word jokes. And yes, this is for profit. Without a doubt. You may say, man, how is this bad? How is this bad? Okay. WBC Clean Boxer program, right? Randomly tests people 24/7, 7 days a week, right? They can pop up on your doorstep at any given time. Here's the catch. The WBC Clean Boxer program only randomly tests the top 15 rated fighters, right? And if that got extended, whatever. I don't even believe that anyway. The top 15 rated boxers is what this program tests, and they're champions of each weight class. Just 15. Okay, cool. The way this thing works, and the WBA Fair Boxing program only tests the top 5 ranked in each sanctioning body in every champion. That's a whole lot of fighters falling through the cracks, fight fans. 1. 2. VADA is only a testing agency. VADA is used by the WBC and the WBA. They just test. They have no disciplinary powers whatsoever. Granted, so their budget is being paid by the WBC or by the WBA, in which the WBC and the WBA gives VADA a monthly budget, which is far too low to test probably any more than 2 to 3 boxes tops per month. Tops. It's like $10,000 a month. Short money. And they say, here you go, VADA, here's your monthly money. Go out and find somebody to test. Well, you got hundreds of boxers involved allegedly in this program. Allegedly. Okay, so they're working with short money. Here's the thing. When the WBC, the way they make money from this is not by the fighters enrolling. It's when a fighter pops positive. When they get pops dirty, there are fines associated with these fighters popping dirty. These fines has to be paid directly to the WBC or the WBA. The WBA or the WBC do not share this money with VADA in any circumstances, which means they recoup that money. So all the WBC pays out is short money to be tested. But when they get a positive, that's when they make their money back. So I'm asking the question, is this for health or is this for profit? Okay, so now here's another deal. No uniformity. No uniformity whatsoever. You got the WBA and the WBC using VADA. You got the IBF and the WBO using USADA. You got UCAD with their own protocols using USADA. There's no uniformity. How could you get any real testing done with no uniformity and different rules? Everywhere you look, the punishments are a joke. Most of these fighters on their first offense maybe will get 6 months if they get something. And then while they're on 6 month suspension, they'll write a nice little pretty letter to the WBC to say have that cut down to maybe about 3 months, just like Billy Joe Saunders did with the WBO, just like, you know, numerous fighters do. They get popped. They write a letter to the sanctioning body. Can I come back early because I picked up a couple cans around my neighborhood for good behavior? And they let them back 3 months later, reinstated. You look at UCAD's PED system, drug testing protocols, in competition, out of competition. You can literally take certain drugs up to 12 hours before a fight. Why do they do that? I'll tell you why they do that. That sounds like bait to me, because UCAD has the same protocols. When they catch someone, it's penalties and fines associated to it, along with an embarrassing hearing and everything that goes along with that. Right? It sounds like to me you baiting people to take whatever you've been taking all the way up to a day. You so good, you can take it all the way up to a day of the fight. You just better make sure you cycle off right in time before that fight. And if you don't, if we find something, we got you and we getting paid. So is it for health or for profit? Because if it was for health, you wouldn't allow it in the first place, right? If it was for health, you wouldn't allow it none at all to be used in no training camps or nothing. You can't. So is it for health or profit? WBC, if you were serious, you would give VADA a much bigger budget than you giving them to go out and test every month. And now you cutting testing back and saying coronavirus or pandemic. I tell you the reason that they ain't testing right now, because they ain't making money. They don't have the money to give the VADA to keep them on budget right now because ain't no fights going on. So is this about health or is this about profit? You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. When I look at PED testing, fight fans, the thing I say about that, man, that's about profit. I don't think that any of us will be under the illusion that PED testing has nothing to do with profit. Come on. Oh, man, we got the OG fam in the building. Salute to KQ, KC. That is the homie right there. Salute to Chi-Town, man. What's up with your family, man? I appreciate you sliding on through, bro. Lie detectors are factual in a court of law. Say lie detectors are factual in a court of law. There you go. Shit, some of them need to be hooked up to a KQ. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you say are not factual in a court of law. Oh, okay. I think y'all going about something about back and forth about the courts. Okay, salute. Okay. Let's see, man. Zeno say, man, everybody is on PEDs. I know, man. In these day and age, you can't keep up, bro. But this is a for-profit system. Bro, y'all gotta understand, this is a very for-profit system. The way that the WBC gets paid is through positive tests. It's through literally positive tests. And here's another question, since we breaking down this clean boxing program. Why? So if I'm outside of the top 15, I'm just going through the ranks. I can be doing pretty much anything I want to do, as long as I'm unknown, no one knows me. But then I get to about rank 16, 17, then I got to straighten up. Is that how this game being played? Because according to the clean boxing program, they were just testing the top 15 rated in each sanctioning body. This cannot be for health, fight fans. It can't be. No freaking way. So that's boxing. This is the sport we love, man. This is the sport we love. But that's the truth about health in boxing. You go all the way back to the horsehead gloves. You go back to 12 from 15 rounds. It sound good. And say, yeah, man, oh, good. This is great for the health of the fighter. But they'll always flip arguments. I am really torn on the argument about boxing gloves, about bigger or smaller. I really am. When somebody broke it down to me how you can give prolonged beatings with bigger gloves and you are more reluctant to go to the body, you go to the head more with bigger gloves. I thought about that. I'm like, wow. But when I have to weigh the pros and cons between small and bigger gloves, I got to say the pros outweigh bigger gloves, to be having more bigger gloves or definitely without horsehead, and stick with the 8 to 10 as opposed to 6 to 8 ounce gloves. So it is what it is. So I'm going to leave it there, man. I'm going to get up out of here, fight fans. Thanks you to everybody that rocked with me during this live stream. I can't believe I made it through, man. I didn't think I will. I'm not in the greatest of areas when it comes to coverage right now, and I'm not on my usual mic and setup and the whole nine, but I wanted to get this out because I'm going to be working all night long, putting this work in where I'm at, man. So this was the best chance I had to at least get something out, and I just did not want to talk about the circuses that's going on in the headlines today, bro. Ain't nothing right now to me that got any teeth, you know what I mean? So I'm going to get ready to get on up out of here. Let me make sure I covered everyone's comment. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Much love to the fam, man. Much love to this fam, man. Bud keeps it. You say what? But it keeps them on their toes. Yeah, it keeps them on their toes. Facts, facts, facts. I'm going to get up out of here, man. I'm going to get up out of here. Thumbs up on the way out if you did not hit it on the way in. Much love to everybody. Hope y'all learned something, man. Everybody that catches this on the playback, much love to y'all. Much love to everybody over at Mainman Mademan's Boxing Forum, man. Thank you for rocking with the homie. Thumbs up on the way out if you didn't hit it on the way in. If you're just finding out about me, subscribe, hit that bell icon, and rock with the fam. Salute to you all, man. All day. To the next one, man. Peace out.